Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be doing something slightly different. I will be reviewing my friend's 2001 Ford F-150 Lightning that we're gonna go to in a little bit and check out. He let me borrow it for the day and to check it out and sort of review the thing. And I will be recording this for the first time ever on my channel on a GoPro. So if it's a little wonky, I do apologize, but bear with me and yeah, let's get to the review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and as you'll realize, we're nowhere near my garage. That's because we're out today in Mexico and we're reviewing my buddy's 2001 Lightning. How about that? Look at that. That's pretty, isn't it? So we're gonna go over this thing. It's pretty cool. It's actually a very significant vehicle. I've always thought they were really awesome. I've always wanted to have one. Never got the chance, but now I get to drive one. So I think it's pretty cool. I hope you guys think it's pretty cool, and we're gonna go over the various things that make it what it is. All right, let's get started. All right guys, like I said, this is my friend's 2001 F-150 Ford Lightning. Now the cool thing about this car, other than, you know, everyone knows about the 5.4 liter, excuse me, V8 supercharged, which is really awesome. There are a lot of key features to this truck. What makes it special, and also the fact that it's actually a very special vehicle. And the reason I say that is because at the time there was really nothing like this. There was no like super truck out there. There was concepts floating around. Chevy had one and Dodge had, and everybody played around with concepts, but no one had actually pulled the trigger on something like this. And Ford stepped up and said, you know what, we're doing this. So in '99 they said, we're going to produce the F-150 Lightning with the blower and all that good stuff, the first actual like muscle truck of the new millennium. And that was really cool. And the thing about this truck is that it kind of upped the ante. This thing came out with originally 360 horsepower, about 450 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. And it was a lot for that time. Like no truck had that at the moment when this came out. And suddenly, you know, after this, it was the Dodge Ram with the Viper V10 that came out after, and then they upped the ante there, and it just kept going and escalating. And so it's really cool. 1993 is when the Ford Lightning started, and that was basically the same idea, right? But it was really just a larger cubic inch V8 engine that you can have in it, sportier accommodations, a little bit more power out of it. Now that's a little bit about the backstory about this vehicle, and I'm not going to go over the history of the Lightning and where it came from and what came to fruition and who came first, Dodge or Chevy. If you guys want to see that, there's plenty of channels that have covered the history of this vehicle. In fact, Donut Media has one that's pretty cool, and Up to Speed channel, which is really cool. Shout out to them, they're awesome. But anyway, styling features that separate this from the regular F-150 for just being a Lightning is actually, if you can see this front fascia right here with the fog lights and the center grille, kind of looks sort of very SVT Mustang-esque. That was bespoke for the F-150 Lightning, which is really cool. The body painted or body color painted grille, which is really nice, and the darkened grille in the center there. You got these wheels. Now these wheels were recently painted black to kind of give it a little more modern look, but they are the original wheels that came with this particular truck, the original style. Obviously Lightning right there, big bold letters, which is freaking awesome. See here we have our side exhaust, which sound really cool, and I'll push a clip in a little bit about that. Of course, we got our wheels in the back, matching wheels. These are 18s with a lot of meat on them. SVT, which is actually the section of Ford that did the development of this type of vehicle. So SVT Cobra, Mustangs, SVT anything. These were the people who produced the performance versions of Ford at the time. So we come around, and you'll notice that for some reason they decided to go one side yes exhaust, one side no exhaust. That's only because the fuel tank's over here, so tank's kind of in the way, can't do dual side exhaust, which is interesting, but you know. And also the other thing that's really cool about these is that step side. So these are actually a step side F-150 that was used for this Lightning in order because it gives it that muscular feel. You got the haunches in the back here, giving it that more muscular look, as well as the throttle cover, which was an option for these. As you can see there, really nice. This really nice red, which just pops, really cool. Originally these cars were only offered with a red, a black, and then they introduced like a white, a gray, and even a blue, kind of like a grabber blue, but they called it a different name at the time. That was really, really awesome. But yeah, it's very subtle styling changes from the Lightning to the regular F-150. It was really, really cool to have, because the people who knew, and you could actually debadge this thing and most people would not even tell. So it'd be a sleeper truck. It's pretty cool. But anyway, let's check out this engine. All right, so here is that awesome 5.4 liter V8 with it Eaton blower. Look at that thing. That's pretty cool. Now remember, engines with superchargers nowadays are actually fairly commonplace, with like 1,000,000 horsepower, right, per engine almost. It seems that way right nowadays. But this thing, this was unheard of at the time. No car, you know, other than like a really specialty vehicle, had a supercharger on it, especially not a truck. And this thing was, you know, a truck, supercharged V8, pumping out north of 300 horsepower, and it was just one of a kind. Now this year, the 2001, was actually the upgraded version of this generation of trucks. So they started upgrading these in around 2001 with a lot more power. So it's got 380 horsepower and 450 foot-pounds of torque, as opposed to the 360 horsepower. And they did a few tweaks and stuff to make it to that point. They also tweaked the suspension a little bit, and they put bespoke tires on them, like I said earlier. This gentleman has upgraded to a cold air intake, so it's a little bit better airflow here. And is a little dusty, but like I explained earlier, he drives this, so this gets street use, actual use. He drives it around, he uses it the way you're supposed to use it, which is something that honestly I respect. Vehicles are meant to be used, and he does, so that's awesome. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty basic down here. I mean, you got, you know, your aftermarket battery, but other than that, everything's how it came. Nothing's been done to this engine. This engine has 63,000 miles on it, and it's been running pretty well since then. Once again, that girl, I just think these things look really, really cool. Just the styling on these is pretty awesome. And you guys heard that noise it makes. It's really, really, really good. And yes, it does have that blower whine when you give it the beans. And we'll hear that once we drive it around. But just wanted to give you a peek of how this basically set up the future of V8s for time to come. You know, pretty much any high performance V8 of the time now has a supercharger. So you can kind of thank this engine for that. Anyway, let's check out the interior. All right, so the interior of this thing. So here it is in all its Ford late 90s glory. Yep, I mean, Fords of this time had a very similar interior to what you're looking at right here. A lot of plastic, a lot of like kind of pre-molded things, very round, sort of droopy styling. He did add these gauges up here in the pillar, but as you can see, you got the white face gauges, which are special for the Lightning, which is really, really cool. He's got the full accommodation of gauges there. We got our aftermarket entertainment system, which was very common modification to do. However, what's really, really cool, and I'll show you in a little bit, are these seat covers. Now, the special thing about these seat covers is, you see how it'll say Lightning on there? Well, this is Doug DeMuro moment. These were actually optional from the factory for this Lightning. So this was sort of like the options list for the sports car kind of a thing. So like you bought your Camaro or your better yet, your Corvette, and you wanted, you know, accessories from Chevy, you would buy like the covers and stuff. This would be those accessories, right? The seat covers and, you know, little things. We do have a sort of, this is a truck, so this does come up. And this is a seat for like a middle person if you want here, or one cup holder here for, you know, to share. And of course, all of these were automatic. So as you can see, that little stock hanging out the side there, that is a column shift automatic 4-speed, which was one of the strongest transmissions they had at the time to handle this kind of power. They didn't come with a stick shift at the time for this. They could have put in a Cobra, you know, style 6-speed on there, but they chose to go with this for probably packaging reasons and not having to re-engineer anything under there. But it's really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, it's a very, very unassuming interior, but still it works. And it does have, like I said, bespoke seats for the Lightning, which I think is really, really awesome. All right, a couple other things that I want to go over before we start driving this thing and get my impression of, you know, what it's like to be in one of these, is the fact that there has been a few upgrades done to this vehicle since the gentleman's owned this. As you can tell in there, we got our slotted and drilled rotors for better stopping power on the back and in the front. And in this year, they actually did upgrade the rear gear, the differential in there. This has a 373 to 1 gear ratio in the back. That's a little bit more for takeoff than the original one had. So this was sort of, like I said, upgraded from the factory as it went on. This was, I believe, the last time they upgraded these before they phased them out in 2004. This only lasted from 99 to 2004. 2004 being the final year they produced these really, really amazing vehicles. But anyway, I think it's really, really cool. Like I said, the very fact that it's kind of subtle and it's not something that's seen very often anymore. At least they were all over the place in the mid 2000s. I just haven't seen that many anymore, at least not here in California. But you know what, that's enough rambling. I think we should go take this thing for a drive. What do you guys think? Drive? Let's go for a drive. All right, so driving this monster behemoth of a muscle truck, which is what it is, a muscle truck, honestly. I mean, like I said earlier, when these things came out, there was no such thing as this type of vehicle. Not really. There was higher performing or you know, attitude type vehicles, trucks, mind you, but there nothing to this level, you know, nothing that came close to this. And this sort of set the bar to begin with like the high performance trucks of the mid 2000s, right? After this, like I said earlier, Dodge had their SRT-10 Ram, which is really fast. And it was at one point the fastest truck in the world at 155 miles per hour. And then you had the Chevy, which came out with their SS Silverado a little bit later, which, you know, try to match that. So they were, you know, kind of after it. And the funny thing about it is it sort of set the pace for the modern muscle car that was coming out shortly thereafter. So this sort of paved the way for the coming muscle cars. You know, even though Ford never really came into the large muscle cars like Chevy or Dodge did with, like, you know, the Charger or the Chevy SS or the Caprice at the time, this thing just really threw the gauntlet down, and it was awesome. And I think this is a really cool vehicle. Again, it's a significant vehicle to me because, like I said, nobody's seen one like these at the time. No one's seen anything like this. It blew everyone's mind. Everybody wanted one immediately. So the other thing about this is, now that I'm actually driving one, because I've actually never had the opportunity or the chance to actually drive one, to own one or any of that stuff. I just hear about them a lot, and I heard about them being for drag racing and things of that nature, but never once did I get my hands on one of these. And so this is sort of like meeting your heroes for me, right? I always thought these things were really, really cool. I know I'm more of a Mopar person, but I love all cars, and this is just really awesome. Kudos and thanks to my friend for letting me borrow this thing. But yeah, this thing's really powerful, even for, you know, right now 380 horsepower. It's not much, right? But it's nothing to scoff at. There's almost no weight back there, so if I hit it hard enough, I'm sliding out. Which is very notorious for these. These would go to the drag strip and they would try to get the best ETs, and unfortunately, like I said, there's nothing back there. They would throw weight back there to try to get this thing to grip. It just would not grip. But it was fun. A lot of guys use these as you know, burnout monsters. They would just sit there, hit the gas and go and destroy tires immediately. Which, you know, hey, to each their own, right? Hey, that is fun in itself. But anyway, to me, this truck, like I said, is very significant in the history of muscle cars. The modern muscle car would be. And it's something that's special, you know, no matter if it's a Ford F-150 Lightning, even if a lot of people say it's just a souped up 5.4 liter with a blower on it, called it a day. Yes and no. No, it's not just that. They did do their homework and they did beef up the engine to take this kind of power. But, you know, it is sort of like an old school muscle car. They threw the biggest engine they had, V8 wise. They put a blower on it, got as much power as they could out of it reliably, and made everything kind of work from parts that were already existing, which is, I mean, amazing, honestly. The fact that Ford had the cojones to do something like this is amazing. And it's really nice to have control over this loud pedal. Once I get a little bit going here, I'll give it the full throttle. That's insane. That is just insane. The fact that it does that is just really, really cool. Woo! It's good stuff, man. This So anyway, guys, that's my thought on this vehicle. I think it's pretty awesome and amazing. Obviously, I like it. I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys like my review of it. And yeah, I say we head back. Alright guys, so that was my review of my friend's 2001 Ford F-150 Lightning, which was awesome. Just a blast to enjoy and drive. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this vehicle, if you guys ever heard of that thing before, or if you know someone who has one, or if you have one yourself. And also, please like, share, subscribe, all those things that you do on YouTube. And yeah, see you guys in the next one.